On today's episode of Time About the Movies, it may be the week before Christmas, but we're certainly getting our load of blockbusters. We have sequels to Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law back to take on Sherlock Holmes' greatest enemy, Professor Moriarty. We have Alvin and the Chipmunks back with another movie. You thought the first two movies were bad? Those first two movies are like the original Alvin and the Chipmunks TV series from the 80s compared to Chipwrecked. We'll get into that one because that's definitely a lot to delve into here. And Brad Bird makes his live-action directorial debut with, of all things, the fourth installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, Ghost Protocol. Three big holiday releases to look at today, December 16, 2011, coming your way next on Time About the Movies.
I see your web of conspiracy has expanded.
I'm knee deep in the single most important case of my career. No pressure.
What are we up against here?
He's the Napoleon of crime.
Sherlock Holmes.
They're drinking embalming fluid. Yes, care for a drop.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the three films that make up December 16, 2011's roster of films. And the first one we have here is the sequel to the breakout hit from a couple years ago, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. In the sequel, Robert Downey Jr. is back as Sherlock Holmes, and his longtime trusted associate Dr. Watson is back as well, played by Jude Law. They take on the arch-nemesis Professor Moriarty, played by Jared Harris, with the help of Holmes' older brother Mycroft Holmes, played by Stephen Fry, and a gypsy named Sim, played by Noomi Rapace. The first Sherlock Holmes is a great movie, and a new, refreshing take on the classic stories with Robert Downey Jr. knocking it out of the park as Sherlock Holmes. It was visually stunning, nicely casted, an overall enjoyable movie, a really good film. The sequel is a piece of shit. I mean, this was pretty bad. I mean, not just pretty bad, really bad. I was completely shocked how terrible this movie was. Let's start with the good things about it, because there are good things. The cast overall, I think, is still really good. Downey Jr. and Jude Law are still great as Holmes and Watson. I thought Noomi Rapace overall was really good in here. She has the ability to play these bigger roles outside of Lisbeth Salander, which coincidentally will have a Girl with a Dragon Tattoo movie coming up next week on here. But I really want to see her get bigger and bigger roles. I really wanted to see her get bigger and bigger roles after this. And she was in Prometheus. She was one of the few things I liked about that movie too. We'll talk more about that in a couple months from now, but I thought Stephen Fry and Jared Harris were pretty good as Mycroft and Moriarty. They were all really good. There's a really cool-looking action sequence in the forest that uses the slow-motion technology very well. But besides all of that, everything else was just really, really bad. I mean, it's not like they weren't even it's not like they weren't trying. They were trying to recreate the magic of that first film, and they pretty much ended up doing the same movie over again. That's the worst type of a sequel to do. If you have to do the sequel over again, compared to the first movie, dumb everybody down to where they were before, you could create an entirely pointless movie in general. So the whole film beforehand serves as no purpose whatsoever. Like, once in a while that works. Home Alone 2 works. Hangover 2 doesn't work. But I mean, it seemed like they were going for more action and more explosions. I mean, the first one had two major scenes with explosions, and that's fine. I don't know why we need to add more to it, but maybe because it's just like, hey, go big or go home with a sequel. Plus, there's also too many long sequences of nothing happening. Like, this movie is filled with so many moments that are so boring and underdone. I almost fell asleep watching this movie. I never do that with a movie, and I almost did it with this film. That is unbelievable how far we go with this. Rachel McAdams is in here for like 2 minutes because we gotta kill her off. Because, hey, Dark Knight did it. And I'm saying this because this movie is trying way too hard to make this the Dark Knight of the franchise. I mean, they make it longer than it needs to be, stealing a lot of elements from the Dark Knight. One of those, of course, being the girlfriend, Rachel Dawes got killed in that movie. So let's kill Rachel McAdams' character in this movie. Because why the hell not? And just having this really depressing undertone for the majority of the movie. It's just like, lighten up already, for God's sake. Like, and the worst part about it is they build Moriarty up as like the big baddie in this movie. He's supposed to be the Joker for like the Dark Knight is. Like, he's supposed to be the big villain that we're supposed to see throughout the course of the movie. You only see him for 30 minutes of this film, and he does not get a lot of screen time at all. He's supposed to be the main bad guy. This is Moriarty, the bad guy for Sherlock Holmes. Every hero has that main bad guy they have to face. Batman has the Joker. Superman has Lex Luthor. Luke Skywalker has Darth Vader. Sherlock Holmes has Moriarty. But they only share 15 minutes of screen time together. It's fine, but my problem is we don't get enough of that at all. And my biggest problem with the movie is that the ending is awful. Instead of a big action climax where the main villain what happened with the first film, all we get is Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty falling from the side of a hill after Holmes pushes him and himself off, thinking that they're both dead, only to have Holmes alive as the credits begin. That's it? That's all you're gonna give us? Like, you spent the entire movie trying to be bigger and bolder than the first movie was, and for this you just decided, we've run out of ideas. I mean, that's literally what I think happened. They ran out of ideas of what to do, and it's just, like, it's unbelievable how bad this movie is. Like, I've kind of a theory of why this and other sequels like this don't work. Even the ones that are inferior to their predecessors. Like, they always have to have a better climax in the first film. Here they don't do that. They basically rip off the end of Superman Returns in the process. And I mean, I hated that ending because it led to absolutely nothing. It was completely pointless to have that in here. And I've always said that sequels aren't as good as their predecessors, or at least they can be at least still watchable. Like, you know, your Ghostbusters 2, Men in Black 2, Die Hard 2, Home Alone 2, the Lethal Weapon movies. But, like, if this is the best Guy Ritchie can do with a sequel, then don't give him any more sequels to do. Thank God they weren't going to do another Sherlock Holmes movie, even if they were going to do it with Dexter Fletcher, which probably could have made it a little bit better, but probably not by that much, because it's just like, there's really nothing else you could do at this point, because you really let so many people down with this movie. This really is a terrible movie to a really great film, and I really don't know what went wrong in here, but this really was, out of all the movies we've covered this year that were so big and so disappointing, this may have had to have been the biggest disappointment, not only this year, but I had it in a long, long time. And I thought after all these years, I'd watch it again, and I'd find some value to it. There's not, man. This movie is just unbelievably bad. I can't believe how terrible this movie was. Avoid Sherlock Holmes, The Game of Shadows, like the plague. This is bad, man. This is really, really bad. So that's the movie that shocked everybody by being bad. Now here's the sequel that everyone thought was going to be bad, and sure enough it was. Alvin and the Chipmunks, Shipwrecked.
Family vacations are all about fun. Relaxing, spending quality time, getting to know each other. First, we're going to need to set some rules.
Dave, come on. Rules is my middle name. I'm the king of the world! Seriously?
This Christmas.
You're having dinner with the captain?
No, I am. You're staying here. I have to go apologize for everything Alvin did.
This is so not fair. He's been driving me crazy. A lot longer than he's been driving you crazy. Hey, Dave.
Alvin?
I'm going to puke.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. Chipwrecked. Shut your bitch ass up!
Yeah, when they start singing in this movie, you will want to be like that guy too. Just want to tell them to shut their bitch ass up and start running away. I mean, my God, this is bad. I mean, I gave the first two movies a little bit of credit because there was at least some of that magic that was in there from the original show in those movies, but there's no defending this garbage here. From the very beginning of the movie, it just felt like they were contractually obligated to make another movie and had no ideas whatsoever to work with. So playing abroad while on a cruise ship, the Chipmunks and Chipheads accidentally go overboard and end up marooned in a tropical paradise. They discover their new turf is not as deserted as it seems, that they come across a woman who claims she's been there for 5 years, but I'm sorry, if you have been on a deserted island for 5 years, your teeth do not look as white as this woman's teeth do, and your hair does not look as perfect as this woman's hair does, and you don't have like bruises and all that type of stuff. I mean, for God's sakes, this movie can't even get the logic of time correctly. Oh, and by the way, she's the bad guy in the movie now. Yeah, I know David Cross is in this movie, but no. The main antagonist of the movie is Jenny Slate, who wants the Chipmunks to go into this area to find this treasure, and they're literally grasping for straws. That's something to do here in this movie. I mean, literally, the very beginning of the movie, half the film is nothing but the Chipmunks and Chipettes just singing random songs for no particular reason while they're on this cruise ship. There's a thread of a story going on about how Alvin's causing a mess on the ship, but he's Alvin. He's the troublemaker. He's what everyone's expecting him to be. There's another subplot where these human women are so overcome by these little chipmunks who think they're so much better than they think they're better than they are. It's like the problem with the second movie. If you're threatened by 3 talking chipmunks, CG talking chipmunks nonetheless, then you need to get your freaking priorities straight, man. And like I said, they're literally grasping for straws with a storyline here. It's just, there's literally nothing of value in this film whatsoever. When David Cross is, the best thing about these movies is telling you that this was one of the most excruciating experiences he's ever worked on, that should probably tell you something right there. If he can't say, if the one guy who saves the somewhat of a threat of these movies is telling you that this is a terrible film, that should probably tell you something. I mean, it's a bad movie that doesn't work on any level. Things just happen to move a thread of a story along. And even those few elements when David Cross is in this movie are just wasted here. The music is placed in the most random of places in the beginning of the movie. It's just unnecessary. It sucks. It's painful. As somebody who grew up with the original Alvin and the Chipmunks and seeing these movies continue to just tarnish the legacy that they had back in the day, like, this is just a bad movie, man. Even the tiniest kid you could possibly have will find nothing of value of this movie whatsoever. And I think people were starting to finally get the message here because, yeah, this may have been the lowest grossing of the series, but still made a shit ton of money, so of course we gotta make another one. But not just make another one when we need to. Let's make it when nobody was asking for it, and let's go ahead and put it out on the same weekend as Star Wars The Force Awakens. I'm not even kidding you, but we still have a long way to go for that. But let's be honest, you'd be better off never seeing Chipwrecked in your lifetime. I mean, just avoid it like the plague. Like I said, just stick to the Chipmunk Adventure. If you want a good Alvin the Chipmunks movie, Chipmunk Adventure is the way to go. But this, no, just no. So we had 2 bad sequels. How about a really damn good one? Let's go ahead and take a look at the last one we have here, which is easily the best of the 3 new releases. Mission Impossible Gross Protocol. I'm sorry, I'm watching the Tom Grossi video in between these takes while I'm recording this. I shouldn't do that, but Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. There we go.
What's happening?
Abort. Experience the impossible 5 days early in IMAX. We're gonna have to go in from the outside.
We?
You're not gonna make it!
You're not helping.
See it how it was meant to be seen. Shot with IMAX cameras. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Special previews in IMAX December 16th.
So yeah, this was a very interesting releasing pattern that Paramount had for this. Ordinarily, with a franchise like Mission Impossible, you would think you'd just release it in 3,000 to 4,000 theaters on opening weekend and then let the money come rolling in. But Paramount decided to do something a little bit different with this one because this was the first Mission Impossible movie to be filmed particularly with IMAX cameras. And so they decided to release this in all of their IMAX theaters, all 425 of them, and see what happens there. I mean, nobody was really expecting a movie like this to make a shit ton of money, but it made a lot more than people expected. It made like $16 million, which for Mission Impossible movie is the lowest grossing of the series, but considering that the movie only opened in 425 theaters in IMAX, I mean, that's really impressive stuff right there. And I think people were already suckered in because there was a lot of goodwill behind it, because this time around, it's not like the last couple of movies where it's been mainly focused on Tom Cruise and just him being the main focus of the team, focus of the film, and no team except in the last movie. The film overall had a lot of high expectations for it. You got a cast that includes Jeremy Renner, Red Hot stars, Simon Pegg, Paula Patton, you also have Brad Bird, who has been a long-time film director and animator with The Simpsons, The Iron Giant, of course, The Incredibles, and making his live-action feature film debut. There was a lot of high expectations, and they delivered on every bit of that and then some. So in this movie, you have Ethan Hunt and his team, Ethan Hunt once again played by Tom Cruise, racing against time to track down a dangerous terrorist named Hendrix, played by Michael Nyqvist from the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, who has gained access to Russian nuclear launch codes and is planning to strike on the United States. An attempt by the team to stop him at the Kremlin ends in disaster, with an explosion causing severe destruction to the Kremlin and the IMF being implicated in the bombing, forcing the president to invoke Ghost Protocol, under which the IMF is disavowed, and will be offered no help or backup in any way, shape, or form. Undaunted, Ethan and his team chase Hendrix to Dubai and from there to Mumbai. But several spectacular action sequences later, they may still be too late to stop a disaster. And I'm just realizing, I don't think Ving Rhames is in this movie, and he's in all the other movies, but I think this is the only one that he's not in, except for the second one, too. I'm just realizing that. I haven't seen all the Mission Impossible movies since then, but like I said, just when you thought this series was topping off at Mission Impossible 3, you get this movie, and it was just a ton of fun to watch the first time around. It was at that point the best action film I'd seen in a long time, but we didn't know how much grander and more bigger the Mission Impossible movies were going to get with this, then Ghost Protocol, then Rogue Nation, and then Fallout, which is still the best of the series. And there's just so much to value in this movie in terms of enjoyment factor, and just a lot of things about it that was just so damn impressive. I think you got to start with the positive. You got to start with Tom Cruise. I mean, the direction they went with this series, that's the way you're supposed to go with it. Instead of just focusing on Tom Cruise in the film, who is great. I mean, we get more screen time with the team, though. And the TV shows the films are based on really focused on the team itself, and not much the main character on the show. With the first 3 films, it was pretty much the opposite, where Tom Cruise was the center focal point of the film, and not just the crew itself. And I'm glad they took that step back. I feel like that had to be the logical move to get the series back on track. And let's be honest, Tom Cruise back in 2011 was not the big action star he was in 1996. This was kind of before he had his big comeback, where essentially any movie that he was involved in was immediately going to put butts in seats again. The action sequences are top-notch. For Brad Bird, who did a lot of animation before this, and actually I think he actually used 2D animation to put together the action sequences in The Incredibles. I mean, for him to work on this, and to come on and do these action sequences in live action form, this is a pretty damn good effort. I mean, these amazing cinematic and epic action scenes that range from Tom Cruise dangling off the Burj in Dubai, to the sandstorm car chase, and to the opening scenes where the Kremlin blows up. Everything is nicely done and perfected so well to the point where you actually do feel like you're part of the movie. You're part of the adventure in here. I didn't go to see this in an IMAX theater because we didn't have an IMAX theater close by here, but even in the theater that I saw it in, you really did feel like you were part of the movie. That's how good these action sequences really were. The chemistry overall between everybody is great too. The writing of Josh Applebaum and Andrew Nemec, who wrote for Lost and Fringe, I think works very well to the advantage of the script here. As I said, Brad Bird, this is his first live-action film, and he doesn't disappoint at all. He directs this movie the same way he did with the CG animated The Incredibles. The direction is, no pun intended, incredible, and I'm really curious to see the direction. I was really curious to see what direction he would go with his next live-action film, which was Tomorrowland, which was not a great movie, but I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. I actually did enjoy it, but I definitely felt like it was lacking, especially in the second half. But again, we'll delve into that when we get to 2015. But let's talk about the best thing about this movie, in my personal opinion, and that's Paula Patton. And let me just tell you, I had seen her in stuff like Just Right, Jumping the Broom, Idlewild, Precious. She was really good in those movies. She was gorgeous to look at, but I've never seen her so hotter than I did in this movie. I mean, not only is she incredibly sexy in this movie, but she's a badass, too. I mean, she gets into a fight with another woman and beats her so much, she throws her out of a window. She bends arms and legs until they break. She's somebody that you do not want to mess with, but she is sexy as hell in this movie. I mean, if there's one takeaway from this movie that I always think of when I think of this movie, it's that scene where she's walking around the party in that sexy green dress. I mean, just look at her, man. Jesus Christ. I mean, if there was ever a category for a woman that looks good in a movie without ever having to take her clothes off and being like sexy lingerie, 2 people would make that list. Jessica Rabbit from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Paula Patton in Ghost Protocol. She has never looked any hotter than she did in this film. And she proves that she's not just the beauty of the film, but she can also beat your ass to a pulp. It's not just the looks in here, but the looks are the most memorable thing I remember from this movie, because I mean, just look at her, man. Jesus. Like I lost my train of thought just looking at her. That's how gorgeous she looked in this movie, man. But besides that, this is still a really damn good movie. This is definitely the definition of a perfect action film. This movie did to Mission Impossible what Fast and Furious did to that series. It basically reinvigorated the series, rejuvenated it, and gave it some new life to it. And just like Fast and Furious, after a couple of really good sequels that top themselves, it kind of falls off when we get to the 2020s. But give us a movie that's even better than what comes before. 4 movies in, this is just such a really good movie, and one that still holds up. Even as the other films, the 2 films that come after this, have gotten better and better, this is still a really damn good movie that's still worth a watch, even after all these years later. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, I can't recommend it enough. Terrific film. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, it's Christmas weekend, and we have 6 big new holiday releases, including David Fincher's remake of The Go of the Dragon Tattoo, with Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara starring in the roles played by Michael Nyqvist and Noomi Rapace. We have Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson working on The Adventures of Tintin, probably one of the year's best underrated animated movies when you really think about it. Cameron Crowe is back with a new movie with Matt Damon and Scarlett Johansson called We Bought a Zoo. And Steven Spielberg has another movie that comes out this weekend in War Horse, which is, let's just say this, Tintin kicks the ever-living crap out of War Horse. But we'll talk about that one tomorrow on the show. We'll also take a look at The Darkest Hour, the latest film from Summit Entertainment, and another one of this year's Oscar contenders with Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. We'll take a look at all those movies coming up tomorrow, as we're just one weekend away from the end of 2011, and we get ready to start 2012 over the weekend, so I'm really looking forward to delving into that. But with all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do me the honor of going ahead and hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out the playlist and check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.